Hey, everyone. I'm your host, James Jackson, and this is ARCast. Join me each episode as we shine the spotlight on a category management or shopper insights professional doing compelling work in the trenches. If you're ready, let's dive right in. I'm here with Stephen Worth, Director of Shopper Innovation and Experience at Nestle Purina, North America. Stephen, welcome to the show.
So happy to be here, James. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you. And maybe you've listened before. And if you haven't, obviously we go through your career, ask a bunch of questions to learn more about your journey. But before we get started, I usually put people on the spot a little bit. So I'm going to do that to you. So you're in the pet business. So maybe this will be something that people can use on a trivia game later on. But do you have a statistic or fun fact about pets that might surprise people?
Yeah. How about this one? 97% of people consider their pet part of the family.
Yes.
And I think anybody that's got a pet is probably not in their head out there. I know I am. My dog's around here somewhere. His name's Milo. He's probably sleeping right now. But I mean, they are truly family members, and I think that's one of the reasons I've been at that company for 21 years, which is owned by Nestle. But we have been in the Purina career for a while, and it's such a powerful category, and the emotional firepower behind it is just a real motivator. And the category potential is just really, really vast. And so that's a pretty powerful one right there, and I think most people would probably understand.
Yeah, 97% though. I didn't realize it was that high.
It's almost 100. I mean, I the other 3% I could probably take a guess, but I'm not judging anyone, but 97 is pretty high, so it's pretty amazing.
Okay, well, great. That's a good way to start. All right, well, we are going to jump right in. So if you're ready, let's get in the trenches. Let's get in the trenches. All right, so today we want to follow your journey, not because it's normal story. I have people that come on and they've gone from company to company, and yours is a little different. So it looks like your career was heading down a path though, and it's suddenly kind of veered in a different direction. So I really want to focus on that. So let's first start at the beginning. What did you get your degree in?
So my degree is in industrial design. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts from the University of Illinois, ILL. Your
Illini.
There we go. I knew you. I remembered you were a fellow Illini. 2004. So graduated in 04 with a degree in ID, which is a really great experience.
So industrial design, so creating products, packaging, things like that. So and that's why this is really interesting. So you have more of an artistic background, is my assumption, correct?
Yeah, I've been doing some form of art or creativity or working with my hands my entire life. And I kind of stumbled upon industrial design as an accident. I wanted to go to school to be a computer animator, so I was trying to pursue more of a graphic design degree because that was actually the way in back then. And oddly enough, I didn't get accepted into that program, but they liked my portfolio enough that they accepted me into industrial design. So I had to learn pretty quick what that was to be able to kind of pursue that path, which was a blessing in disguise because it couldn't have been a better fit for me.
Sure. Okay. So that's great. And, I don't know, honestly, many industrial designers. So I actually tried to do a little research. So I asked my trusty friend, ChatGPT, this following question. Is industrial design more art than science? And here's what it said. It said industrial design is both art and science, but it starts with art. So the aesthetic and creativity, and ends with science, the engineering and human factors. A lot of times we will in category management say, it starts with science and then we bring an art to it. So it sounds like the reverse. Would you say that's true?
Well, first off, I would argue that both either need to or should start with the needs of people first.
There you go. Okay.
The art and science piece is spot on. I mean, to be clear, industrial design begins with curiosity. It's really asking why before any how gets developed. It's about uncovering human needs, transforming them into products that are not only functional and beautiful, but really meaningful. anything from sketches to prototypes to engineering. It's really creative, what I call creativity grounded in purpose. And as I think about kind of like what is the industrial designers like apex goal is, if you think about the end consumer with a product that industrial designers are designing, one of the greatest things they could hear is, I didn't know I needed this, but I do, from a consumer. And I think that's really a testament to discovering unmet needs and driving products that are really meeting the needs of people first. So I would argue, and even in the category management, which I'm learning, very quickly as I've kind of assumed the lead of our category leadership COE at Purina, it's really the same concept. It's like, what are we doing to serve the consumer? In this case, the pet owner. And I think that's really a good remit. I mean, a good example of that, just so people can really make it tangible, right? Like, how many people out there raise your virtual hand if you have an iPhone, right? The iPhone.
I was thinking Steve Jobs. Yeah,
the iPhone is the ultimate example of industrial design delivering on an unmet need. Nobody knew they needed it, and there's a reason that when you unbox it, there is no manual. It's a beautiful piece of art. I mean, it's a gorgeous object, but it provides an unbelievable amount of complex function. But it's almost seamless. You don't need a manual. You don't need a tutorial. You just start doing it, and it's based on natural human behavior. So that blend of art and science and technology built together is just an unbelievable, powerful thing to put together.
I honestly never thought about the fact that there wasn't an instruction manual or anything like that.
Well,
that is never, and didn't even, and that's the true essence of it. Where I didn't even notice. I just you just open it and go.
I mean, right? Jonathan Ive, the industrial designer at Apple that engineered the first iPhone and basically led the original design team at Apple, was a visionary. I mean, and it was all about that, right? It's like, how are we not creating just beautiful products, but how are we thinking about design as a language and really delivering on what people really need and how they can operate within their day-to-day life, which is why Apple has supplanted itself as this design-led organization. They've got industrial design at their core.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you're talking design. My daughter actually at some point was thinking about being an architect. She actually now does product design in Silicon Valley. And so when she was learning about, that field, the concept of design thinking came up. But I know that's and you've mentioned it before in different talks about design thinking. Can you talk about what that is, or what the process is around design thinking?
Sure. We could probably spend the entire hour on this because I've been doing various forms of this throughout my entire career. But design thinking, or what I call human-centered design, is really about designing with heart. It starts with walking in the shoes of real people, uncovering their needs, imagining what's possible. It's bringing diverse minds coming together to create solutions that matter. You test, you refine, you experiment. It's this relentless pursuit of better. It's not about perfection. It's about progress that truly serves people. And when you start with the needs or behaviors of people, you start to uncover ways to reframe problems. That's one of the essences of design thinking, is the idea of problem reframing, to provide value in new and novel ways to guide, strategic design intent. And so it is this kind of like, if you think about an infinity loop, it's the easiest way to think about it. You'll see it if you Google it. You'll see it is like this double diamond sometimes, as the diverge converge mentality, which is all true. But the easiest way to think about it is this relentless loop of empathy and experimentation. How are you building deeper empathy for your end user, either by walking in their shoes or observing them in their natural environments to understand why they're doing something, to actually uncover value, and then just relentlessly experimenting, prototyping. It's a very agile process where you're in the trenches. There you go. Really building and collaborating together to try to refine that design intent, break things, fail forward, and then ultimately land on something that is going to be usable for somebody. So I can bring it to life through an example. So I thought about this. I'm like, what for the audience? How would we think about even something as fundamental as problem reframing? So I'm actually teaching industrial design, the philosophy of industrial design, to my son's 5th grade STEM class. Next week. And so I'm actually going to do this exact example. So I thought it'd be great for this audience. So we have a concept called the 3 levels of why when you talk about problem reframing. And this is a great aspect of design thinking that anybody can use, quite frankly, in their day-to-day world. So let's take the average toothbrush. Okay. So if you think about 3 levels of abstraction, right? Like, let's think about the toothbrush. Why do people need a toothbrush? Well, the answer most people would probably say to clean their teeth.
Yeah.
The reframed problem, which we often frame as a how might we statement, which is a question that can be solved, right? It's important not to create opportunities as statements, but as questions. So starting a statement with how might we might lead you to how might we help people clean their teeth more effectively?
Interesting.
Okay, that's a different design challenge than reimagine or rethink the toothbrush, because you might be able to do some feature development or something like that, right? Okay, so now we're at helping people clean their teeth more effectively. Level 2 might be, why do people need to clean their teeth? Okay, the answer is to maintain oral health, prevent cavities, et cetera, right? Then the second level of abstraction or the reframe problem might be, how might we help people maintain oral health in a convenient way? Ooh, interesting. Now we're at tablets or floss or mouthwash or systems or different types of experiences. Like, okay, now we're beyond the toothbrush, which creates this different design challenge, but it's also rooted in a broader value, a value that you can offer to the consumer. But then there's a third level. So, okay, now we're at oral health. Why do people need oral health? Maybe it's about feeling confident, being healthy, avoiding pain, avoiding costly dental care, right? Now the reframe becomes, how might we help people feel confident and healthy through better oral care experiences? So we've gone from designing a toothbrush to rethinking the entire problem and value equation to better oral care experiences. We might start redesigning dentist offices because of that, right? The beauty of design thinking is that it allows you to rethink the value equation for the consumer through this relentless process of empathy and experimentation, constantly asking why, reframing your problem to get to the root cause or root opportunity to deliver value in whatever you need to deliver it. So now we've gone from a singular product, which isn't wrong. Like, everybody needs a better toothbrush.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, how are we actually thinking about oral care health more effectively? I did a podcast a couple of years ago, and the title of it was "People Don't Want a 1/4-inch drill; they want a 1/4-inch hole."
There you go.
Because like, I know there are people that need the drill,
right?
But the real value is, how do I get a hole in a wall?
Yeah.
Well, how many other ways can you do that? It might be a power drill, but it might be something else. So, like, if you just abstract the problem, you start to go down a different rabbit hole, which is really exciting. So I love that methodology, and I think it's something really tangible people could take into their day-to-day work, no matter what field you're in.
Or what age you are, because that will work with the 5th grade class. So
we'll see how that resonates next week.
Well, that is fascinating. I haven't heard that concept before played out that way. So thank you for that. Super, super educational for all of us. So with that background and your mindset and what you've learned, I look at your profile and kind of look at the steps that you started taking in your career, following that methodology. So you're an associate designer, you're a designer, you're a senior designer, even, and this is at Nestle. Then you go over to Nestle Purina and you're a design strategist. So design. And all of a sudden we get category management, we get shopper, all within this group called market development organization. So what is going on there?
Oh man, this is another one. It's so funny when I was going through all of the thoughts around my career. I'm like, how do I boil this down? Because it's been quite the journey, and it's been amazing. So let me give it to you. Just kind of bear with me here. So
yeah,
I got hired when I graduated from U of I. I got hired into Nestle as my first job. I've never left Purina or Nestle. And there's a reason for that. Every role that I've had in my LinkedIn profile that you've seen has been a new role. I've never backfilled anybody in my entire 21-year career with this organization. And I think that is all of my, I'm a geriatric millennial, I think, based on my demographic. But all of my millennial friends who have bounced around and had 5 or 6 jobs have been like, how have you done this? Aren't you bored? And I'm like, no, because the unlocks that I'm getting by the impact that I'm making in my in my career through the jobs that I've taken before the one that I'm in now have shown me growth potential. And the organization keeps asking more of me and more of this philosophy, quite frankly, as I've traversed the company. So I did my first decade in global product development, very hardcore industrial design, packaging design. We were designing, like I was doing like the storyboarding and the sketch concepts and the 3D modeling and the prototyping of new like pet food containers and bag designs and litter jugs and all types of things, the functional form development.
Sure.
That was actually a global role. So it was cool when you actually saw that it said Nestle Global R&D. We were actually a global R&D network that was working all across the world, supporting each other on strategic design initiatives. So I got to travel all over the world and support all the things. I have 17 patents that I've gotten through that work.
I saw that.
Anything from Nespresso machines to Japanese gifting boxes for coffee to coffee containers to baby food containers to pet food designs. I designed pet food treats. Like all of those things were physical objects that we helped basically build brand experiences.
Yeah.
It was really about how do we take our brands to the next level using kind of this industrial design capability that was new and build it. And we got really good at it. And so as we started to do that, we started to realize this is where design thinking became more of like design with a capital D, as I call it. It became more the philosophy of, wow, we're actually helping the organization strengthen what they're already good at, which is consumer obsession, the relentless pursuit of being better, innovation. This is a complement to that. And what it's doing is it's actually complementing our brand marketers in a totally different way. To help them think differently or more expansively about how to solve for consumer value. So a new role was created, and I'm not going to go into all of the different mechanics of how that happened, but the organization basically said, hey, let's create a function within marketing that was actually part of an innovation team that was newly formed called Innovation and Emerging Growth, called a design strategist. And the role of the strategist was to basically work more upstream. It was essentially, if people are familiar with new business development roles, it's kind of like that, but it was taking all of the things that we were doing, facilitation, ideation, prototyping, rapid experimentation, empathy building exercises, research, and basically like complementing or augmenting brand planning alongside our marketing teams with new experiences, tools, and capabilities. So we were essentially like a black ops marketing role that worked with the marketing teams and the brand teams to bring to life new brand experiences, which was awesome because I got to launch some of the coolest products that we've done through treats and litter and other things that were really breakthrough, game-changing business model transformation type stuff. And so I did that for a better part of 3 or 4 years. And then most recently, where the category management stuff kind of started to trickle in, I got a really great opportunity back in 2016 to jump ship out of that strategist role and come lead a newly formed, what was called Retail Innovation Strategy Group that is now the Shopper Innovation and Experience Team. That was part of our market development organization. And our market development organization is an unbelievably unique pillar that sits as part of our generating demand functions within Purina. So we've got marketing, we've got sales, product supply, procurement, operations. We are a functional group of that, and we help basically take all of our brands and make them channel and retail ready through things like marketing, category management or category leadership, shopper innovation, strategic revenue management, retail marketing, things like that. So that I got a chance, and that was a leadership role. So I got to, they were like, hey, this is a chance for you to go and lead a new team and, grow and all these different things. I knew nothing about category leadership, and so I jumped ship and I was like, let's go do this. One of the things they wanted me to do, though, and why it was so exciting, was they wanted me to take the design thinking approach to reimagine our headquarter-based innovation center. It was called the Retail Innovation Center, and they're like, we need somebody to come and reimagine this space that was basically a glorified. I think of it as an agnostic Kroger. It was just runs. This was 2016, so like, we were still building kind of what e-commerce meant at the time. It was still heavily focused on brick and mortar sales support, but they wanted to reimagine kind of the facility. And they're like, we need somebody different to come in and do this. So here's this newly formed position to come lead this kind of unified team that came from two factions within the organization that became this new team. So I got a chance to come over and lead that, and I've been doing that since 2016. So I've since reimagined the Innovation Center twice, and we can talk a little bit more about that later on. But I've arguably injected more design thinking and human-centered design in this role than I did in any job that was actually about design.
Really? Why?
Because it's what I learned over time is that organizations this is just a general statement. I actually credit Phil Gilbert, the GM of design, the VP of design for General Motors, said this. He said organizations don't care about design or design thinking. They only care about market outcomes as a result of these practices. And I love that because it's not to belittle the concept of design thinking, industrial design, whatever it is.
Right.
What it is how are you framing your core capability, my core competency, as a way to drive our business? And so what I've done is instead of just saying, hey, I'm a design thinking guy doing design thinking, this is the thing that we're doing, I've created experiences and opportunities and new ways to engage customers, internal teams, using that facility and our capabilities, all rooted in design thinking. We're just not calling it that.
Sure.
We're just doing it. We've enrolled people in the process so they can feel and experience this philosophy in action. That is in turn help strengthen retail partnerships, drive our category management discipline, which is now why I've kind of helped, or what has kind of helped pave the way for this new leadership expansion opportunity to drive our category leadership center of excellence. We are injecting this philosophy into everything that we're doing. Within what is now called LAB9, the newly formed kind of innovation center at Purina, which is unlike anything in the world. And it's not unlike anything in the world because it's got human-centered design, consumer-centric experience design at the core. We're just not saying like, come do design thinking with Purina or with Stephen's team. It's come experience the consumer in ways that you've never experienced before. And it's going to help you unlock ways to drive growth. That is something that retail executives, our own executives, Nestle executives, anybody can get their head around because we're all trying to solve for that. So it's been quite the journey. And that's what I've offered to the organizations to say, look, I have something really unique to offer to the company and to this organization. It can be deployed in almost unlimited areas.
Yeah.
Let's go apply it in any way that we see fit that offers white space expansion opportunities that can augment or complement what we're already really good at, or offers ways to create a competitive advantage or widen a competitive gap in a new way. It's just been quite the mindset shift and the learnings along the way, which I know we're going to get into, is all rooted in this idea of empathy and experimentation. We've just been doing it through stakeholder engagement, retail collaboration, and essentially customer centricity. I hope something that made sense. I know that was long.
Oh no, that is. I have a million questions. I don't even know where to start. So I guess let's play out something, and hopefully you can share. If you can't, that's fine. Sure. I am a category lead that is interfacing with X retailer. Name the retailer. And you say, hey, unlocking category, positioning, in a different way with the shopper, the consumer at the center. So how do I engage with your team? So, because this isn't blocking and tackling, right? This is, I need to reset my thinking or look at the shopper differently at this retailer. What do I bring to the table when I'm coming to your team? What is the engagement I have with your team? What's the expectation walking away from, dealing with your team?
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a lot of time unpacking this because again, what you don't want to do is come at people to go, "Hey, you need my thing," right?
Yeah,
that's not going to fly. I mean, yeah, it'll fly, but to some extent. But the reality is, we want people to feel like they've got their thumbprint on the solution or the experience or the engagement. So we enroll our cross-functional stakeholders in a very robust planning process for some of these engagements.
Okay.
Like if we spend more time, James, on planning for the engagements that happen in our innovation center or with our customer teams than we do executing it. And that may sound like, well, duh, like you should do that. But oftentimes you don't. Like it's about, hey, let's create an agenda and then just do it. And it's like, well, what is the through line? What's the story we're trying to tell? How do we put the consumer at the center? That's the one thing I probably 3 or 4 times a week, I'm asking the question, why are we not starting with the consumer? Let's put the consumer at the center. How do we start this narrative or this experience or this, soundbite with the why around the consumer, which is exactly what I just talked about with design thinking. So
Yeah.
we're asking people's opinions. So we'll go to like our insights team, our strategy and insights team, and go, hey, what do we know about this particular shopper at retailer X? Can you get me some data points and some insights that we can use to create a compelling experience and story using some of our technology in the innovation center, which is really hard to explain using words.
Sure.
But we've got things like virtual synthetic shoppers that speak to the retailers when they're in our innovation center. They walk up to an iPad, they hit a button, and somebody will talk to them that is fueled by the insights that our insights team gives them. And we create these customized scripts that get the retailer to hear from a shopper themselves that we create. It's all VR,
Oh my
all
God.
customized, like all proprietary stuff. But
Yeah.
like they will say something to them that's rooted in an opportunity space to get them to connect to the content. So we're not just saying, hey, retailer X, you need to go do this category action. It's here's your shopper telling you about what they want. Let's back into that. And then let's co-create the right solution for you while you're there. And that is an entirely different modality to operate within that gets the customer enrolled. But we do that ahead of time with the sales team, the insights groups, our category leaders that are in the field, our marketing people. If we're talking about a brand that's relevant, we want to make sure that the brand's represented. So we do so much time building empathy for the key stakeholders that are trying to drive the business collectively to get them to go, hey, what would you do within the context of this experience?
Yeah.
How can we execute it the best possible way? Because the execution is not the hard part. It's making sure that the data, the insights, and the things that go into it are fueled from a cross-functional point of view. So I am asking more questions on a day-to-day basis of the people that are a part of this broader ecosystem than I am giving answers. And then the answer that comes out of that is much more representative of our commercial priorities.
You just said something and I had to write it down because it is completely spinning things around for me. So you made the comment, the execution is not the hard part. Everything I hear, everything I've ever experienced is the execution is the hard part. So I'm assuming because the retailer, the cross-functional team, everybody, all the stakeholders are so immersed in what the shopper is looking for that the sell of it happens in that. And then it's like, well, why wouldn't we execute it? Is that what usually happens?
Yeah. I mean, look, I can glorify this to make it sound perfect. It's never perfect. And to your point, no. I totally agree. The execution still is hard, but the reality is the barriers to execution are lowered when you enroll the customer in the process. And there's a little bit of a when we first started doing this, because this was a different type of approach than what we were used to when we started to kind of build this idea that, hey, what if we were actually able to co-create even with retailers, not just with internal teams, but like, let's actually build things together collectively. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of there's a risk there because it's like, okay, like, are we opening the door too much that we can't deliver on something? What if they want something that we can't give them? Like, but the reality is we found ways around that in a way to go, look, if we can just prime the exercise with the right level of intent versus just like, let's come up with ideas for pet shoppers. Like, that's fine. Some people can do that. I credit a friend of mine for this phrase, but I have what you call idea surplus disorder, which is I just have ideas all the time. I can't stop. So I can pull things out of white space any time of the week. But some people that's hard. So you have to make sure that you're directionalizing, codifying, and structuring exercises that allow people to go, oh yeah, I understand what they're asking me to do. It's almost gamified to some extent where it's like, okay, you're coming up with an idea. You got to come up with a value proposition. It's time bound. We put people in teams. You're kind of competing against the same thing to some extent. Then you come back and pitch it like a Shark Tank type thing. And you actually look at like, look, let's not forget, like, we're not the smartest people in CPG. I like to think that we are, but like our retailers are smart. Let's bring that smartness together and build things together because they've got some really intelligent, amazing people that have incredible ideas and thought leadership that we want to learn from. So do we. So instead of us saying, hey, we've got all the answers, which we've got a lot of really thought-provoking, data-driven, insight-driven answers for sure, we merge those two things together through very intentional planning and, quite frankly, design thinking at the core of like the experience, and then unlock that growth potential through this best-in-class collaboration that we've structured. I mean, that's the whole method behind LAB9. If you go to PurinaLab9.com, the front page is literally like, this is no secret. LAB9 is an acronym. It stands for Learn, Activate, Build. You learn through immersive experiences. We activate ideas. We build action plans. And the 9 is for our checkerboard square, which is unique to us, right? Our icon is a checkerboard. There's 9 squares. So it's unique to us. That's the brand. The brand identity is rooted in our process. It's not about the space. It's about a way of working that, quite frankly, we don't think is replicable. Like, that's why I'm telling you on this podcast, like, I don't think any of our competitors, even if they listen to it, could know what to do with that. We've structured it in a way that is best in class. It's world-class. It's been played back by retailers to go, look, nobody's doing anything like this. It's unique. It's different. And we appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, the ideas coming out of these meetings are not only actioning against existing sales objectives. Look, our salespeople are super smart. So they know what they want to do. We help push over the final domino sometimes with a different how. Or even better, sometimes we unlock new things. Based on some of the stuff they're seeing, they're like, what if that makes me think we could do this? And they're coming up with the idea, and we go, well, we could totally do that. We weren't even thinking that, but that's a totally different pathway to drive category leadership in a way that we never thought about before. So this way of enrolling people is unbelievably powerful. And you can do that in a multitude of ways. We've codified it in our own unique way, and we use all of our space experience and capabilities to unlock it.
Good Lord. That's amazing. I want to ask one more question, and then we're kind of at the end here. So where do you see retail going? So as you're building out, you're doing your learn, activate, and build, you're deploying things at retail, you're getting good feedback. Retailers might say, I want more of this. I want it in different categories. Shoppers are looking for different things. If you're kind of looking in your crystal ball, where do you see things going, and how does your process or this type of thinking fit into that?
Yeah, I mean, man, this is it's such a multifaceted question because the way, and again, this is coming back to the core topic of this, right? From a human-centered design perspective, I don't think about it as the future of retail. I think about it as the future of the shopper experience. And how we are going to drive commerce in the future. That is what is evolving. And that is why we've broken the mold to say, look, we've got to stop talking about e-commerce and brick and mortar separately. It's about the connected consumer. And when you reframe, that's a reframe, right?
Yeah.
You're being about, hey, let's rethink physical and digital retail. No, why do we need to do that? Because the shopper is always on. Shopping is just an always on mindset right now. It's happening all the time. I guarantee you, everybody out there listening to this has sat and as they're watching a show has ordered something off of Instagram that popped up on their feed that took them down either a D2C site or a retailer site or something like that. That's not an e-commerce originated mission. It's just a moment. So we think about what we're thinking about, and what we're doing so critically right now is thinking about how are we thinking about that consumer journey, in this case for the pet owner.
Sure.
All those moments along that journey that we can drive value. Where does shopping play a role? But ultimately, where is the consumer consuming content? How are they engaging with media? How are we thinking about brand discovery? All in kind of the notion of this holistic consumer journey that allows us to then go, okay, the role of retail will evolve because of this moment. The role of brick and mortar might evolve to be something more about community engagement or interactive education or customer service or something like that. Less about distribution, assortment optimization. Those are all incredibly important things. And I'm not belittling those things.
Sure.
But I think in the world where AI might take a foothold in some of those things to go, hey, we're going to be able to rapidly figure out the blocking and tackling more efficiently through advanced technology, the unlock of the human capacity to drive elevated value through the customer experience will be the nirvana state. That is going to be the blend of how I see organizations evolving to drive value with retailer partners. And then the retailers will evolve based on where their core value proposition lies. So we spend a lot of time going, what do you stand for? Like, what is the key differentiator? at kind of a meta level, right?
Yeah.
And how can we back into the way that pet, which is a strategic category for sure. It's an incredibly high growth category for them most of the time. How do we supplant that as a way in for the consumer to try to drive that connectivity? So again, like I said, I don't think about it as the future of retail. I think about it as the future of adding value to the connected consumer through a series of moments that we can really engage more critically to help augment that existing experience and meet them where they're at, because it's all about them.
Wow. Okay. You've blown me away. And I actually knew some of what you're doing, but this was amazing. Last question for you then. Okay. You're on a plane, you're at Thanksgiving dinner, and somebody asks you, what do? You could say, oh, I'm the director of shopper innovation, blah, blah, blah. What do you call yourself?
I don't know. There's like it's like the, how do you explain your job to your grandma comment. I think, and this is a little bit nebulous, but I like it because this is what I always frame myself as. Like, I think I'm a little bit of everything, but at my core, I'm a change agent. I'm relentlessly driven by, and this is actually kind of like that. If everybody had a tagline, I think everybody needs their own tagline. Like, what makes you unique, right? Mine is helping the organization rediscover the human side of business. How do we help organizations? Because at the end of the day, organizations are made of people. And so how do we be human and actively seek out new opportunities to utilize whatever it is, design thinking, new approaches to help shape white space, like uncover new ways to drive growth? I love change, which is why I love white space roles. Give me a new role that needs shaping. That's my development plan. My literal development plan that I use with my VP is like new roles. I don't want to backfill people. I want new, gnarly things that are really relevant, but people don't know exactly what to do with them that could benefit from this type of methodological thinking. And so, if I'm talking to somebody on a plane, it's like, I'm an agent of change. I look for opportunities to drive human-centered design in anywhere that I go. I've done that through marketing. I've done that through packaging design. I'm doing that through category leadership and shopper innovation. And the runway for any of that application is basically limitless.
Wow. I think we'll stop there. Man, you just a deluge of great information, a lot to think about. For those who are listening, the other thing is that Stephen and crew, as well as WD Partners, will be on the keynote stage at our annual conference. So you'll hear more about that, and you'll be able to meet him in person at the show. I guarantee you, if you heard just a little bit of what he's saying, he's a fascinating guy. And I think we can all learn a lot by just talking to him a little bit. So really appreciate that segment. You've been in the trenches for quite a while, so I want to give you a chance to take a breath, take a sip of water, what have you, and let's come up for air. Finally, coming up for air. Yeah. So this is the end. Want to just learn a little bit more about you personally, family. You talked about Milo and things like that, but if you could just share a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I love this stuff, but I'm actually a pretty simple guy at heart. I grew up in the St. Louis area. I still live around here, and I have a awesome wife. Her name's Jenny, who's a 6th grade PE and health teacher. We have 2 crazy kids. One's 10. His name's Landon. And my 7-year-old daughter, her name's Stella. And they keep us on our toes. We're a super active family. Obviously you can tell I've got a lot of passion for my job. Yes. That passion is almost multiplied when it comes to like our active lifestyle. And we love doing hikes and going on new adventures. And we have a lake property, so we live our best life on the lake. So, if you're not hearing me do podcasts and keynote speeches and stuff like that, I'm fishing, I'm tinkering in my garage. I love to woodwork. I build stuff. I am active through fitness. I'm learning how to play guitar. So I try to just stay as active as I possibly can through hobbies that, quite frankly, when I retire, I want to be able to do some of these things. So I try to just keep my brain and my body active and sharp. And man, it's it's a pretty simple life when you boil it down, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's just a great place to be.
Awesome. Awesome. We'll close with this question. So many people are looking, and you talked about future of retail and really, more of the connected consumer, and the future of the shopper experience and things like that. So we have people in category management, shopper insights, space planning, and they're confronted with my organization's changing. There's AI, and I'm worried about that. But you've kind of set the table for an opportunity to really kind of reset our thinking and maybe look at different ways to approach our roles. What advice would you give to somebody who's like, I want to be more like him, or I want to approach things more like what they're doing? What are some steps that they can take initially to get down that path?
Well, I've got a few. Let me just kind of like throw a few at you, and then we can kind of go from there. The first one is, don't be afraid to enroll people in your vision and process. I think I mentioned this through kind of a customer collaboration. When people feel like they're a part of the solution, they're much more willing to act on it. So I almost there is this notion of over collaboration, but I do believe that like asking people their opinion and asking them to help you build something together is a really powerful place. Like we've got a council of people that actually co-author the LAB9 vision and strategy. They're director level people across the company that I have actively enrolled in quarterly sessions that they offer cross-functional input that have inadvertently turned them into both power advocates and super users. So like that's a powerful place because now they're going and talking about something that I'm passionate about without me having to do it all. So like asking them their opinion and giving them a platform to have a voice is really powerful and something everybody can do. I think another one is just think holistically about the value equation. If you think about a Venn diagram, the human-centered design innovation Venn diagram that this is actually coined by IDEO starts with desirability at the top. So do people want this? What is the value proposition for the consumer? What does the consumer need? The second ring is viability, which is, can we make money on it? How will it actually drive growth for the business? A good idea is fine, but like if it doesn't actually add value to the business, nobody's really going to care. And then the third ring that rounds out the trifecta is feasibility. Can we make it? Is it executable? And how do we do it more effectively? And that's not necessarily just about a product. It's about programs, media, platforms, et cetera, whatever it is. That trifecta, thinking about the consumer, the business, and the technology needed to deliver on that, and thinking about all of your ideas through that lens is going to give you a much more holistic perspective on things that you can potentially have to do something around. Okay. Another area would be have passion for your work. Like don't be afraid to be bold and try new things. You don't need to sit there and yell at people and like jump up and down. That's not my point, but have the conviction for stuff. Like be bold, be passionate, have some conviction for something that you're trying to sell, because at the end of the day, if you've got passion for something, people feel that. And they're much more willing to listen to that. Now you better have the defendable logic to back it up, but like having that passion and commitment to something that you believe is right is a great way to just spark kind of that organizational transformation. And then the last one to me, and this is my just general leadership philosophy in general, is just be human. And I said this, organizations are made of people first. Build authentic relationships, stay true to yourself. Having empathy for one another and showing up every day as your authentic self is not just a business strategy. That's a life strategy.
Yes, it is.
Like, apply that. Like, don't be afraid to just build those connections and spend the time with the people you need to spend the time with to get to know them and know them on a personal level, whoever that is in your stakeholder network, because they're much more willing to accept. So people are more willing to accept your something when they know that the someone behind it is genuine and authentic.
Wow. Okay. That I'll just end it there. Those four, that's something we can literally take and do today. So we don't need approval. We don't need, hey, let's sit down and see how much money we have to these are concepts that are very doable, and we could do it no matter what role we're in. So very much appreciate that closing piece of advice or pieces of advice for our listeners. So thank you, Stephen. This has been awesome. I was excited to talk to you. You didn't disappoint. It's just interesting because you come at this from a different perspective. But I think it's one that we need to grab onto because, that shopper is changing and we need to find new ways to resonate with that shopper, especially with all the technology and everything else. That this is all about that game of, how do we work with humans in a different way? So very, very amazing information that you shared. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. And again, thanks for the plug for the CMA conference as well. I think we're going to unpack this a little bit more on stage as well to talk a little bit more granular about how we do this and, how it's actually playing out across the customer landscape. So excited to kind of build on this. This is a great foundation. And I'm really humbled by the opportunity to do this. So thank you.
Perfect. We appreciate it. All right. You've just listened to another amazing episode of ARCast. Please look forward to more interesting people like Stephen in the weeks to come. And also, please don't forget to share ARCast with your colleagues. So for feedback, topic suggestions, or guest recommendations, if you can find more people like Stephen, I would love it. Please go to www.catman.global/ARCast. All you need to do is go down to the bottom. There's a submission form there. Fill it out. It comes directly to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Today's episode was produced by Zach Peterson and edited by Jake Nemi and is recorded at Studio Xerxes in Minnesota. Our theme music is brought to you by Bryant Lowry, and a special thanks to my friends at the Association of Retail and Consumer Professionals for their promotion and management. That is it for today. I'm signing off. This is James Jackson. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on our next episode. Bye.